I'll tell you as we go along. We just welcome to successcafe.tv. As you can see, I'm totally unprepared because I've just this second walked in. Couldn't get back any quicker. So
can only get back as quick as you can only get back, eh?
Absolutely. I hit the button at 4, but it still doesn't mean you're ready. But so anyway, how's your week gone?
Been busy, not as busy as yours seems to be.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
I just finished a meditation session on an online meditation session earlier. That went pretty well.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love meditation. Anyway, today's episode is the 6 lies between you and success. So, and as Warren said, he has absolutely no idea what these are. I actually did send them to you.
I know you did.
Yeah, I know. But it's like a lot of things. You get so busy, we don't get into the subject. So, okay. So,
but I like to deal with your questions firsthand. Understand? Because then if I can't tell you, I'll tell you straight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Well, shall I give you the first one?
Please do.
Everything matters equally, but don't just think about it for now. All right. Because I've got a few things to go through first. So, what the lies are things that we tell ourselves, and it becomes the norm after a while. Have you ever done that? Warren told yourself sort of what you thought was true, but it wasn't really. You
mean that the tooth fairy was not true, something like that?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's cost me a fortune, this. So you're lucky you've only got one child, you see. I've lost count. Sorry.
You lost count already.
3 children, 7 grandchildren, 2 great-grandchildren.
You can remember their names, it's okay. Hey?
Oh, I don't know what their names are. No idea. But, look, lies can mislead you. It's as simple as that. And we go into an industry, let's say, it could be business, and we believe certain things, and it really can cause you problems. You don't think so at the time, so it's important to know the right way to go about things and the right things to do. So the problem is we tend to act on what we believe, even when what we believe isn't anything we should. It's I'll give you some examples in a minute. Don't worry, but
we tend to exclude anything apart from that what we know, based on also the authority from where we hear it.
Yes.
Or where we learn that information.
Yeah.
On the authority, the level of authority.
Well, I've listened to so-called leaders over the years, and they've told you one thing. And of course, if you're new to a genre or a business or an industry, profession, you tend to believe them, and it may not be right. That's the thing, see? And we have to learn as we go along. So as a result, buying into the priority, which is one of the things we're going to get into, the one thing becomes difficult because we've unfortunately bought into many things.
Okay.
When we talk about buying into many things, we're talking about spinning plates, so that should give you a clue of what one of the others is as well. So I think it's very, very important, and I've got it here. I've just looked at my bullet points here. Spinning plates. Okay. There's no singular focus. So focus is definitely one of them. And what we know is definiteness of purpose.
True. Very big.
Singularity of purpose. Depends on who you listen to. But they're both the same thing.
Whatever the language.
Yeah. It means even if I'm training for a marathon, I'm concentrating on training for the marathon. It's just one thing, And I obviously one of my favorite books is The One Thing, and that's basically where I'm from. Life is definitely too short to chase unicorns. Now, unicorns sound great. They sound exciting, and I'm not talking about there is something for unicorn business as well, but I'm not talking about that. But exciting things, starry things, glittery things, There's so many of them, and you can keep chasing them, and end up actually achieving absolutely nothing.
Nothing. True.
You end up with nothing,
Yeah.
So,
And that's the same. That's the same. Like people that are habitual learners you get people that they're professional students. They
yes,
stay in university their whole lives, and all they do is they just study to get from one to the next. Ooh, is it me or was it Paul's disappeared? Oh, I'm on my own, folks. Ah. So what I was touching on there is that you get professional learners, people that go to university and they just keep learning and they keep learning, and typically it'll be within a certain spectrum of perhaps science or law or something like that, to that degree, and they just become professional researchers and students. And so this is the same thing as well, really. You constantly, and for them, their shiny thing is having their certificate on their wall. That's their shiny thing that they're constantly chasing and
yeah.
moving towards, rather than actually doing something in their lives. But that's education, I guess, and that's knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, there is a dividing line at the end of the day, unless your profession is a researcher, which is something completely different. But if you're an entrepreneur or a sports person or something like that, business, then yes, you've got to learn certain things. Do you have to take a course? Well, then it depends on what business you're learning. If you're doing something like Forex, maybe you have to do a course. I don't know. I've not done it. I wouldn't know. But there is a balance to be struck here between learning a course maybe, and actually getting on and doing what's required.
Yeah, and learning what you
Yeah.
because this is what I believe is knowledge, really. And I know this is not necessarily one of your points, but yeah, knowledge is taking what you've learned and actually being able to use it and apply it and action it, and if need be and if possible, teach it. Then you know something.
Yeah. Did you notice me go offline for a minute?
Yeah, I did. I don't
I have
know.
no idea how that happened. I wasn't doing anything. So,
Okay.
but I'm back. So, and you were still talking, which is even better. So
You know what it was? You know what it was? The internet. You were moving so fast that the internet couldn't keep up with you.
yeah, don't think there's any chance of that. In my younger days, maybe, but
yeah, there was no internet. There was no internet then.
well, anyway, look, the real solutions we seek are almost always hiding in plain sight. The answers that you need, okay, and sometimes we just don't see them. Unfortunately, you've usually been obscured by an unbelievable amount of garbage. All right, and there is a load of garbage in everything, and what we have to do as human beings is decide which is garbage, what can we discard, and what do we pay attention to. And normally speaking, the stuff that we pay attention to is quite really obvious.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah, and not till someone points it out, or you happen to find it, you go, "Oh my god! All that time I've been doing this, it's staring me in the face, and I should have been doing it." But so, and the problem is, common sense sometimes gets in the way. Now, common sense can be a fantastic thing. It could also be the worst thing as well. Okay,
as can logic as well. Logic can be useful, but it can also be a hindrance.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, going back to what said about being a student, sometimes there are occasions when I've been a student too long. Maybe it's a little bit about looking for the perfect place to start as well.
Yeah. And we do typically do this, and this is, look, I mean, when we keep stalling ourselves and looking for that proverbial perfect place to start, as Paul put it, it's just an excuse that we're giving ourselves, and this unfortunately is something that we all tend to do. We excuse ourselves for certain things. We try to justify ourselves for certain things, and by trying to constantly learn new skills, new whatever knowledge. This is just one other way of giving yourself that excuse and just being able to justify it by saying, "Well, I'm learning something new. I'm getting there. I'm gonna be better at it when I started finally because I'll have more knowledge in my head and more skills in my toolbox."
Yeah.
But something that I've learned, in my 48 years is that the best learning tool and the best experience is life, and that's
Absolutely.
actually getting out of your
Getting
book
stuck in, getting in the
and getting stuck.
trenches, as they say.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know. But over time, myths and mistruths get thrown around regularly.
Hmm.
And the problem is they become the norm, they become accepted, and they feel familiar. And that's one of the challenges we have. I mean, these so-called things start to become what we think is the truth.
Yep.
So it's acting a bit funny, our
The
speaking
internet.
out today, and I have absolutely no idea why, but we will keep going. Um, if you think of things like, think of some of the lies that we've been, nice lies, not nasty lies, you know, mistruths, however you want to call it. But the Spanish man, Cortez, is supposed to have burnt his boats. So
Uh-huh.
they had to win or that was it.
And that
Never
was it.
happened.
Hmm.
Never happened.
He led them to believe it happened like that.
You led them to believe it. That it never
Yeah.
happened. So the thing about the frogs, if if you put a frog in a boiling pan of water, they'll jump out.
Oh,
You know?
okay,
But if
okay.
you put them in the cold water and warm it up gradually, they'll die. Um, it's garbage, really. It's just someone using something to make something a little bit more interesting, maybe.
Yes, yes, yes. Well,
So
it's similar to, I was watching a documentary the other day, and we were talking about people in Nigeria, and they have this gang called the hyena people, or
ooh,
the hyena men,
yeah,
and they handle wild hyenas in the city in the cities, in Nigeria, and they go around Nigeria almost like a circus act, and they have people with snakes, and they have people with monkeys, and they're performing with these wild animals, and you know there's a lot of tradition involved. There's voodoo involved. There's magic involved, and they believe this with every ounce of their being. That they believe that this is the truth because nobody's ever proved otherwise to them.
that's right. Yeah,
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 yeah. Hmm.
and they have no reason to question their belief in that sense. They believe in God. They're Muslim. Most of them, they are Muslims, but they also have this strong belief in magic and voodoo and the fact that they are immune to snake bites because they've been around snakes ever since they were babies, all of them, and that this is their life. This is who they are. They had these fighters, street fighters that they spoke to, and they believe that this is what they were born into, and therefore this is how they're going to live their lives for the rest of their lives until the day they die. And it's because nobody's ever been able to show them any other way that out of where they are. And this is what they kind of, it's almost like, because you got to think about it. The moment you become objective in your thinking, you want to start questioning stuff that you see around you. But if you're only being shown one picture,
Hmm.
you're never going to question whether there's any other picture out there or not. You'll believe that one picture that you've been shown all your life is it, and that's it. And unfortunately, this is also another way of how people perceive business very often is
Yeah.
they believe in certain ways and certain myths about business and certain old wives' tales. Again, we were talking about this the other day, weren't we?
Oh yeah, yeah. Wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's and they refuse to accept the fact that you know this is a bit digressing, but I also believe this is something that could also be included in this is that you have to work hard in order to be successful. There's
Mm.
there is this prevailing
I
myth
think,
about it.
yeah, I actually think it should be slightly reworded and say you may have to work hard.
Yeah, you may have to work hard from time to time, but even
Yeah,
so,
but
you can
it's much better to work smarter.
work smarter, precisely.
Yeah,
But most does anybody do many people know how to work smart as opposed to work hard? You know,
you could
it's
think of it this way. I mean, you can do something yourself that takes 10 hours a week.
mhm.
Now, there's two ways to move forward from that. either you do more hours yourself,
Yeah.
but in the end, there is only so many hours you can do, or you enlist the help of other people so that you get time leverage.
Time leverage, yeah. People
And
leverage, time
it's a
leverage.
classic example, but the lie I told you is you've got to work hard. But it's only partly lies, and so we need, on each occasion, we need to look at what we're doing and think, is there a better way?
Yeah, there is always a better way. And I
Yeah.
honestly don't believe that we need to work hard in order to be
No.
successful in anything. You got to be smart about it, critical thinking, and work smart. Just
Yeah.
why not? Why do you have to work hard because people tell you have to work hard? I just don't get that idea.
No, what you need is the result at the end of the day. It's the result it's all about. And how you do it is up to you.
Well, as long as it's legal and just and moral.
And moral and ethical and all that type of thing. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So the challenge we face when forming our success strategies is that success has its own lies. So I was just going to give a few of them, really. There is too much to be completed. Well, that's you. How do you know? Are the things important that you're doing? Is the other 90%, are they, you can get someone else to do?
Yeah.
I can do lots of things at once. Well, you know what that's all about.
Well, and this everything you're talking about here, and I want to add to this, is to encompass it, is you're talking about basically clutter, whether it's clutter in your mind or whether that's clutter in your environment. And if you stop attracting that clutter into your life, you will stop having a life full of clutter.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You will. So you got to take. And this goes back to something else that you spoke about, is the discipline of focus. Take one thing and just focus on it, and then start to declutter your life.
Yeah.
That way, rather than constantly fighting fires and whatnot. So that you don't actually beat yourself up about the fact that you have a cluttered life. Stop beating yourself up about the fact that you do have a cluttered life, and then get over it and just focus on one thing at a time and get through that.
Yeah, I think, whatever it is, the lies that we tell ourselves. I mean, there's another one. Discipline is the answer. Is it really? I don't know. I have bags of willpower. No, you don't. It's very precious and very limited. Life balance is my goal. It won't be for long because you will never get it.
You never get there.
You never get life balance. I prefer not to dream big. Well,
I want to if I may, just go backtrack a little bit about the life balance part, because I think
we're going to come to that in a minute.
Okay.
These are just the lies, so we'll come back to it in a minute. So if we could keep repeating these similar statements and thoughts, and eventually they will become our realities. And I would say to anyone doing anything of worthwhile, is aim for the priority, the one thing. The priority is the most important thing. Now, you may have a list of things. I don't like lists, but you may have numbers 2 and 3 on the list that are very important, but they're not as important as the priority. Okay? As I said before, the word priority was hijacked and they made it priorities, which tells you, again, one of the things we're going to talk about further. But number one, I said, everything matters equally. Is that correct?
No.
Okay, very profound. Look, we live in a real world. We want real results. We want achievement, but things are never equal. Things like no 2 students are equal. No 2 business people are equal. And if you're looking for equality, you're going to be left wanting, I think, because equality in a lot of places doesn't exist. I'm a firm believer, and I do believe in diversity and things like that, but I want the best person for that job. I'm looking for the best. I'm not looking. I'm not looking to. I'm not a people pleaser. I'm not trying to, you know, bring on board everyone that I can. I'm looking for people who can actually do it.
Or you're also looking to bring out the best. I mean, for me, yeah, we we're looking at to bring out the best in people as well. So that helps that person to be the best that they can. So not everybody intends to be the best that they can, but
No.
we like to help people to do that. But that's again, it's something you touched on, which has just slipped my mind now. Which I wanted to say that I wanted to mention something about that. In that
Equality.
equality, yeah, thank you. Yeah, unfortunately, look, I do believe that there is a possibility and there's a place for equality in every aspect of our lives. Unfortunately, we are not there yet.
No.
It's just pure and simple. We as a species, as a being, we just haven't reached that maturity level yet to be able to accept that everything can be equal. We're still infants in the greater scheme of things.
Yeah.
And because of the fact that we are essentially infants, if you think of us on a universal scale, we are infants. We are merely a blip in the bigger scheme of things. And
Oh
because of
yeah.
that,
We don't think about that very often, but we are. You're right.
yeah,
We are.
we are. And because of that, intellectually speaking and emotionally speaking, we're not at that level yet to consider that everything can and must be equal. So we
Yeah.
have to live in a world right now where we need to deal with that the fact that not everything is equal, and
Mm-hmm.
not every bit of information that we receive or every task that we have is equal in its essence either. We
That's right.
need to we it's imperative for us until one day is where we can actually sit down and just have everything done in equal parts to the same potential and the same outcomes, no matter how many tasks we're doing at the same time. Until
Mm.
that day, we've got to focus on one thing at a time, and get through that, and then that next task becomes the most important one, and the importance of the others filters down accordingly. But right
Yeah.
now, you need to be able to identify what's more important and what is less equal than the other parts of the engine.
You know, but life isn't fair at the end of the day. It is never going to be fair because equality is a lie based on it's you know if you've got 7 people going for a job, you know you are going to test each one of those candidates to see who is the best
Mm-hmm.
and look at their CV and other things, and look at that now, looking at the social media as well. So that's another important thing they do. But yeah, I mean, look, our lives are defined by choices. How do we make great choices? By experience,
Mm-hmm.
bit of coaching, maybe. I don't know.
Well,
Yeah,
wisdom plays a huge part in being able to make the right decisions, right?
that's right. I've made
Uh,
so many mistakes in my life. I'd love to remember them so I could write a book about it, but it doesn't. But would it assist me to do that? Absolutely not. So you learn by experience and you move on and just tick that one up to experience. So, but we also complicate matters as well. We overcommit, we
why?
overextend, we overbook ourselves. We say yes when it should be no.
Why do
You
we
know,
do that to ourselves? Why
I
do
don't
we?
know.
What?
Your actual calendar could be totally full, and
Mm-hmm.
someone phones you up to do something. You go, yeah, of course I can. And
Yeah.
then when you've had a time to think about it, you go, no, I can't.
Yeah.
And so you've got to, you've basically got to get back to people and say you've got no chance of doing it, or
and,
I will come back in an hour's time and let you know, or something.
but this is also two parts related to what we just been speaking about is the
Yeah,
focus, number
yeah,
one, and that searching for that shiny, glittery thing.
yeah,
Yeah, your as you said, your calendar could be full. Somebody comes to you and says, "Hey, I want you to do this with me, or for me, or how?" Yeah, and then you see the glittery, sparkly stuff and going on your head, and you completely forget about everything else, and you commit to something that you can't afford to commit to, and
yeah, yeah, yeah,
before you know it, yeah.
yeah. Absolutely, yeah. So,
So it's all interlinked as well. It's all
well, it
interlinked.
is all interlinked. I mean, look, you don't want your life to become a battle.
No.
You want it to be fun and interesting. Yes, we know things are going to go slightly awry, or awry, sorry,
Awry.
on occasions. But generally speaking, we want to enjoy the journey. You know, there's no reason why you shouldn't. You know, we don't want things to become fierce and frantic all the time because it becomes stressful, and we don't want that.
Mm-mm.
You know, most people lack a clear formula for making decisions. Would you believe?
I don't even have.
How do you make your decisions?
I don't even have a formula.
No, I mean you probably have mentally. You probably have not 1, 2, 3. I don't mean that necessarily, but you'll have some kind of strategy, a decision strategy within your brain. You look at it, whether you review it, say no, that's not for me, or yes, it is for me, or you know. And but most people don't even think about it. Don't even think about it, and they end up overcommitting, overwhelming, you know, and things like that. So very, very important. We have to be we have to be reactive on occasions, but generally speaking, we should be proactive.
I don't know if we have to be reactive sometimes. If it's
Well,
a
I mean,
fight
depends.
and flight situation, if it's a life and death situation, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. There are occasions when we have to be reactive, but unfortunately, a lot of people live their life in the reactive world,
Oh, they
as
do.
as do a lot of police.
Mm-hmm.
They react to what happens, and
Mm-hmm.
you've got to have that ability.
Think
But
on your feet,
I
move on your
always
feet.
believed in proactivity.
Yes.
You get there first. You get it done. People can't. A lot of people can't cope that mentally. Being proactive, you know, it's just one of those things. We get comfortable. We
Well,
like
it's
our life. You know.
yeah. We consign ourselves to our comfort, right? So
Yeah.
it's that familiarity again. And if you think about any area in your life where you have too much familiarity,
Yeah. Oh
you
yeah.
know, and
It's
that's very what's
boring.
that?
It's very boring.
Well, it's not just boring, but it's also you're no longer growing, you're no longer moving forward because you're no longer challenging yourself when it becomes familiar,
Yeah.
yeah, or too familiar. Even so much as your circle of friends or your circle of business partners.
Yeah.
If all you're doing is you're involving and revolving yourself around the same people for an extended period of time, or the same activities for an extended period of time, yes, it becomes boring, but also your scope of dialogue, your scope of perspective is reduced because you're no longer challenging the paradigm. You know, you're not
Mhm.
having new thoughts coming in to the
Yeah.
situation. And this can be a huge factor in terms of whether you're successful in business or not. Because if you're only surrounding yourself with people that are a sounding board for you or allow you to create a monologue in your situation, or if there's any type of monologue going on in that scenario to any extent, then it's almost like with you and I. This is almost like a monologue dialogue. You and I, we have a dialogue, but we're only talking to ourselves. Unless we get feedback from people listening to us, we don't really know whether we're talking BS or not. So, yeah, because we are very much in these calls, we are, as much as we are proactive, we're very much reactive at the same time.
Yeah.
Paul does a lot of research and looking into the subjects that we talk about. And for the most part, I'm the reactor in the situation because he addresses the topics and questions towards me, and I react based on my knowledge and my history and whatever else. But then again, unless, like, for example, like today's subject, the 6 lies, I don't know what he was going to talk about, to be honest, as I touched on in the beginning.
You know,
Because,
you have to read what I send you.
yeah, I did read it, but I forgot about that. So I was thinking to myself in my own head, trying to be proactive. Okay, what are the
Yeah.
6 lies that he might be talking about? Yeah. And I completely forgot that you sent that to me. So reactive, proactive all the time. You got to roll with the punches. It's so
Yeah,
important
that's
to be
right.
able to learn how to roll with those punches. Yeah, and learn when it's good to roll and when it's not good to roll. You know, when it's good to know what your tactics are going to be and how you want to move forward and do whatever you need to do, and then also learn when to just sit in the boat and let the river take you downstream. Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, some people are just reactive, and then it sort of dulls your effectiveness, as it were. I mean, what will happen with familiarity is we select approaches that undermine our success, and you've got to keep things on the boil all the time.
Yeah.
We don't want to be pinballing our way through our days. I read this. It was pinballing your way through the day like a confused character in a B horror movie.
Ooh.
That was a brilliant, and I think we've all been there. We all get it wrong occasionally.
What an analogy to use! I guess.
Yeah, I know, it's a brilliant one. That's why I just wrote down some bullet points, and I wrote that down as well because I thought it's such a great quote. But the best decisions get traded for any decision in the end. Yeah. And this is when we've got to focus on our priority all the time. And we all want progress. We don't progress simply just go from one pitfall or trap to another. We want to be great at what we do. We want to be effective and efficient, and the only way you're going to do that is if you stay on top of things. It's
I've just come up with something.
Go on.
The priority should always be the priority.
Absolutely. I agree with you. Yeah. So it's not everything is urgent.
That's mine, by the way. I've tagged that quote.
Okay, you got it. But the problem is, if people are reactive, everything it feels urgent and important. How can I say? Nothing becomes a priority, so it's all like a mishmash, And at the end of the day, what you want to finish the day and say, do you know what? I achieved something today, even if you only did one thing. And that's why it has to be a priority every day. And then you can move on to the other things. If you've been successful and you've taken a couple of hours and you've dealt with your priority, then deal with the next one. As we know, activity is unrelated to productivity. You can be very, very busy and not get anywhere. And that's another thing. We really do need to take care of business, whatever it is that we're doing. And unfortunately, this mishmash that we deal with means that we don't achieve very much. So you look at the end of the day and say, what have I actually done today? It's a bit like the rabbit hole of going on social media. I did this morning. I had my priority about what I wanted to do. I made a quick cup of tea and I thought, well, I've got 5 or 10 minutes before I start my priority. I'll stop. I'll have a quick look at a video on Facebook. So I then started, and it's like this rabbit hole, isn't it? You start go down, it's weaving in and out, and you end up, and it's eating into that set time that I've put to deal with my priority. So
yeah,
I quickly slapped myself around the face and got out of that.
There's some people that fall into that trap for the whole day.
It's so easy to do it, yeah. Anyway. Sorry?
That's what Facebook wants. They want our eyes on their screen. Yeah.
Anyway, achievers always work from a clear sense of priority. That's my thing for the day. You've got to have the eye for the essential. Your priority is the essential. Okay. So people talk about the 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle. Okay. And I think sometimes they've got it around the wrong way, as we heard listening to Mark. Okay. But there's another bit to it as well. It's the vital few, the things that we must do that day. Okay. Because we all know that only a small percentage of stuff is effective. But you can narrow it down even further. So you can narrow it down by 20%. So 25 becomes 5, 5 becomes 1. And that's where it should be, So yeah, I think we've done that. So find out what you need to do, what really, really matters, and do that, and don't move on to something else until till you've got it done. And that way you can have a very satisfactory day. So
and don't be hindered by what you perceive the outcome to be. Yeah,
No,
because what you think the outcome of doing that may be, and if that instills fear inside of you, whatever you do, don't let that fear get hold of you and stop you from doing it, because it just may never ever be that reality. And so often when we confront the fears that we face, like last night we went for a family walk and we took our dog, and every time we go towards the town center, the old town, she starts freaking out. She just doesn't like it.
why do you think
And
that is?
I don't know, there's something there she just doesn't like, and until we're away from that area, she's constantly like pulling to get going.
Yeah.
And then she's weaving in and out like this the whole time. And then once we get out of there, she's calm. But like I said to my wife and our daughter at the time, I said, she needs to get through this fear. We can't not go there because she doesn't like to go there. She has to get through that fear. She needs to become used to being in that environment, knowing that it's safe with us. So long as she's with us, she's safe. And this is something that holds so many of us entrepreneurs back.
Yeah.
Is a fear of what the outcome may look like, and we need to yeah. I think there was one incident with our dog where there was a loud noise of some kind, and ever since when she's in that whole area, and it's not just a located specific location, isolated location, it's that whole area. She becomes freaked out, and this is how we hold ourselves back, is because we have this perceived idea of what the outcome is going to be based on what's happened in the past. It doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't need to be that way. It shouldn't be that way. So I just wanted to add that, help people to overcome that fear if I can.
Yeah. So, okay, so we're going to keep our core activity top of the list, as we've spoken about. What matters most. Now we move on to the second thing, and we're going to whiz through these now, so we're not going to stay on them very long. Multitasking. Multitasking is a problem. It's another lie. Okay. Why is that? Because you're jumping from one thing to the other. You're getting disrupted. You're getting distracted. Your efficiency, your effectiveness goes down sometimes by well over 50%.
Oh, well over.
And because it takes time to get going again. And that's why you should stay with one thing. Bear in mind that we have 4,000 thoughts in a day, right? Maybe more. So time is precious. And, we don't want this monkey mind taking over, whizzing, all these things going on inside. And
some people think that because they can multitask, it's like a recognition. Some kind of badge of honor or something ridiculous like that.
Not a badge of honor. It's a nice.
Like I can multitask. Look how many things I can do at the same time.
Okay, we're not talking. As I say, I've said this before. We're not talking about the mother in the kitchen and things like that. We're talking about business or studying or things that you're looking to achieve.
Things that are related to this podcast, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I say, it's a bit like juggling. Juggling's an illusion as well. You're doing three things separately that look like that they're all one thing, but time is precious, and we have to look after it. We have to really guard it with our life, really, in a way. As I say, task switching costs you lots. It really does.
I learned that when I was a trainee chef in Germany, many moons back. Yeah, when we prep food for meals, for dishes, you'd prep in advance, like en masse, and you do one thing at a time. You peel, then you wash, then you chop. You don't peel, wash, chop, peel, wash, chop, peel, what? No,
that's right. Yeah,
peel, you wash, you chop. And by doing that, you create a momentum, as you said. You end up building momentum, and you create an outcome, a successful outcome.
Yeah. To me, I mean, success is going, yes, I've done it. I mean, multitasking can be fatal to a business. You need, if you've got something that you want to, this one thing again we talk about. If you've got the one thing you need to work on that one thing. Do not work on anything else until you've done it, and don't keep jumping about. Now, let's say you're a solicitor and you've got 8 hours in the day and you've got 8 cases to work on. Well, then you do the most important one first for the first hour, then put it back in the filing cabinet and you pull out number 2 and then do that. That is not multitasking. Okay, multitasking is when you've got things on the go, spinning plates, moving from one thing to that other all the time. That's what we're trying to get. And each time you do something, you're having to restart all the time, and it eats into your time. It eats into your effectiveness. You reduce everything.
This goes back to what you touched on right in the beginning about when we learn to believe things that are just not true.
Mm-hmm.
And for more than a generation now, we've been taught that multitasking is essential in the business place. If you and as companies have evolved, how many times have you seen it? This happened to me, where you have three people employed for 3 different jobs within the same department, in a company, and 3 years later, you have 1 or 2 people doing the same job.
Yeah.
For three people. Now you're having to multitask, and it becomes essential to be able to multitask just to keep your job, because 1 or 2 people have lost their jobs.
I get it. Yeah.
So and this is how the business world has evolved over the last 2-3 generations. But in the last generation in particular, I say it's now become essential for you to be able to multitask at work.
Yeah.
To some degree, because people feel so threatened. So that if they can't, then
But for the single entrepreneur, it's the death knell of a business if you start multitasking. Look, you simply can't effectively focus on 2 important things at the same time. Important things. We're not talking about shuffling papers. We're talking about important things. And it's important. I remember being at work and dealing with what they call in the UK burglary artifice, which is where someone comes along and cons an old lady or an old man out of money by saying, we're going to do your roof. And they have 2 or 3 people there, and one's rifling their bedroom, their drawers in the bedroom, and getting money. And they're conning people out of money as well. And then they just go away and never to be seen again, So they always used to seem to give me these about 1 o'clock in the afternoon when I was finishing at 2. So I thought, right, if you're going to play with me, I'm going to play with you. So I would do the investigation and come back in at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. As I say, and then if you've got questions, and they say, well, why do you take so long? I said, because I'm doing things properly. I'm concentrating on one thing, and that one thing is that older person there that's had a traumatic experience. They couldn't argue. And I used to make overtime as well, but that's another story.
As you said, you want to play games with me, I'll play games with you.
It was my primary function was to make sure that person was all right and left them with someone. So if that took time, it took time. Don't send me down to a major crime. If you don't want me to do it properly.
Yeah.
So it's important. But so that's that one. So don't multitask. The third thing is that we mentioned about a disciplined life. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on this. I just think it's very, very difficult. People have got enough discipline in their lives. You know what you've got to do. I would say substitute word for habit. Successful habits.
Discipline. People will associate something with discipline, right? Yeah, you go to
get
school.
A slap on the wrist.
Yeah, corporal punishment, get slapped on the wrist by your parents or something like that. Or you go to court, that's discipline. You go to the military, that's discipline. Police, that's discipline. So, implementing good habits, that's much more. But it's true. Again, it's discipline is key. It's essential to anything.
Yeah.
There's no discipline, then there's anarchy.
Yeah.
Just how do you maintain discipline? This is.
Well, I think that you maintain it by developing daily habits.
Daily habits, yeah.
and working on your priority. But look, the trick to success is to choose the right habits and then bring just enough discipline to establish it. So I think that's it, really, in a nutshell. The habit payoff is the sweet spot. And that is where, the discipline of building some powerful habits, I think that's the key to a lot of things, you build one habit at a time.
And watch it unfold in your life and watch your life.
Absolutely. So, that to me is what I would say discipline is, and as I say. The next thing is willpower. Now, I think when we see the New Year's, when people are saying they're going to lose weight, I think willpower goes out the window very, very quickly. In fact, humans only have a small amount of willpower, and
again, it's not an infinite resources.
No, it's not infinite. And they say, where there's a will, there's a way. Well, okay. All right then.
That's another lie, really.
Yeah, it's another lie. I mean, look, it's been misinterpreted, really. It's a clever phrase. It's a one-dimensional prescription to being successful. I don't think so. It's about, look, it's more about character and timing.
Yeah. Willpower, if you want to have willpower in your life, then you've got to take care of the discipline in your life. Because simple things like having a peace of mind, good rest, sleep, good nutrition, good work ethic. These kind of things keep your mind at peace as much as possible. And when your mind is at peace, your willpower is not stronger, because you're not, when those aspects of your life are not in sync. And I don't think many people's lives are fully in sync in that respect. But your willpower is going to be tested.
That's right. I think if you've got tenacity, if you've got strength of character, inner fortitude, and you stick at things. I don't like the word discipline. It just reminds me of school, getting hit on the hand with a cane or something.
Yeah. Oh,
but let's assume for the moment that we have got some willpower. There's not much of it, basically. It's very limited. It has limited battery life. Willpower. You have to manage your resources that you've got, and you said it in a nutshell. We're talking about having the right nutrition, the right sleep, and all those types of things, and they help keep you going. And of course, and also because the desire, the strong feeling you've got about what you're doing. If you haven't got that, then you can forget willpower.
Yeah.
It's got to be important to you. You've got to be happy doing it. It's willpower's a bit like, you think of Usain Bolt. Willpower's a bit like fast twitch muscles. Okay, they're limited. They get tired and they need rest. Okay, he does 100 meters. Trust me, he only does 100 meters or 200 meters. But he only did 100 meters, and then he had to recharge, albeit for a few minutes. And that's what willpower's like. It's incredibly powerful, but it's no good for endurance.
There's a lot of potential.
Yeah. So very, very important. So what else have we got? We had willpower. Can't remember what the other one is now. What's the next one?
Go check. Back to your notes.
Yeah, it's just a bullet.
A balanced life. And this is, again, it's everything we've touched on thus far kind of lends towards that. It's what is a balanced life for me is different to what's a balanced life for Paul and what's a balanced life to anybody else out there. It's going to be different, and this is something that I work on with my clients when I show them that your life is not the same as you can't have the same kind of habits and goals or whatever for your life as I would for my life. And there is no right or wrong way, but there is a balanced life, and you can find it for yourself. There's a way to find it, and it's just you need to touch on all the other stuff that we've been speaking about. Cut out the multitasking, cut out the fear, do what you need to do, take priority let priority be your priority. have the discipline to know when to say yes or no, to know when to do what and when, how, to be able to think critically. Don't just accept anything that's said to you because it's said to you from a position of authority as being the truth. Because that's one thing I learned at school, and later on in life, from school, I should say. My teachers told me stuff that was, I believed was almost like the written word, but it was a lot of BS.
Yeah.
Okay, in hindsight, but when I was at school, you questioned that authority. Oh man, don't question that authority to me when I was at school, because those were my teachers. These were people I looked up to. At least that's what we were taught to do, to look up to them, and we didn't question that. Now I look and I think it's a lot of crock what they taught me at school. Most of what they taught me at school is a lot of
Well, because I'm not being funny, and I'm not. Look, I'm not knocking teachers or anything or the education system as such, which could be tweaked quite a bit. But but the bottom line is, and it's something I heard about politicians, career politicians today, and I was listening to something, and they said they really should be made to do a job before they become politicians.
Yeah.
Some people, they go to college, right? And they go straight in as a career politician. They've done nothing. And these people, we're supposed to listen to these people. You want, for a lot of this stuff, you want business people, I tell you.
Well, not just business people, but you want those people that are politicians. They should public servants. They should be proper public servants, not public servants sitting on a pedestal. They should be proper public servants, picking up the garbage, sweeping the streets, working in hospitals, doing stuff like that, so they can actually see what it means to be the average person on the street.
Yeah, I remember been the police cadets. I mean, I remember digging holes for the local council in my my holidays from the police cadets. I remember doing a milk round. I remember doing a paper round, working in a nursery, dealing with soil. And as I say, you've got to experience other things so you get a more rounded life. I mean, but we should, again, it's very, very important that you get experience in lots of different areas. So
when I was in the military, if we had two types of lieutenants, two PEP lieutenants, okay, two types. Those that started as a corporal, as a zero rank, and worked their way up to becoming a 2 PEP lieutenant through experience and being in the field, working as a soldier, or those that went to university, studied for 4 years, and then came back. No, I'm not even talking Sandhurst kind of. I'm talking about going to like university to study to become a lawyer or a doctor or something like that, and then they had to go to the military after studying university, but they were automatically lieutenants, and they had no experience as a military lieutenant, as an actual officer in the military. They had no experience of doing that, so they would do their basics, but after that, the 2 PEP lieutenant. So we had zero respect for those lieutenants.
No,
zero respect. So yeah, it's the same in life as well.
Yeah,
it is.
Well, our last little bit, the last sixth lie is big is bad, and which I think is a lie. I think it depends what we're talking about when we say big is bad. I mean, if you've got a bad problem, I'd rather have a little problem. If it was an opportunity, I would hope it was a big opportunity.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes this can be taken the wrong way, can be taken wrong both ways. But the bottom line is, trust me, if you want people to dream, allow them to dream big.
Oh.
Big is exciting. It's how can I say? When I was looking to buy a car, when was I'm trying to think what year it was now. 87 was it? And 87.
Did they have cars in 1887?
No,
they did have cars in 1887.
I think it was 1987. Anyway, not 87. Sorry, what am I talking about? I'm losing the plot. 2007. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I went along to look at an Audi TT. I'd always wanted an Audi TT, and I decided to go and get one. So I walked in the showroom. I said, I want to buy a car. I want to buy an Audi TT. So, and I'm not leaving without one. So, and then the dream happened then because, it's then becomes real. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the fact that it's over £30,000.
Oh yeah.
What I'm
That's
saying
irrelevant.
is I was getting it and I got it,
Mm-hmm.
and what I'm saying is it's that's exciting. Not necessarily about money. It's not necessarily about that. It's about doing something bigger, and sometimes people, whether people can't dream or it's someone else putting someone down saying you can't do it, as I say, big can be really exciting.
Oh, it can be, and especially if, sometimes even if it's a reactory type of event or activity or something like that, it doesn't have to be planned in advance.
No.
But yeah, yes, big can be really, really good too, because sometimes like you're talking about Audi TT. When I arrived in Dubai in 2006, I had it in my mind I wanted to buy myself an Alfa Romeo, and that was it. I walked into the dealership and I said to the guy, I want that car. He said, sorry, that's not available. I said, that's fine, but I want a car from your showroom. I don't want to leave here without a car from your showroom. And I picked up 6 months later, I picked up an
Yeah.
Alfa Romeo on Christmas Day.
Ah.
And that was extremely fearful. Yeah, that was big for me. That was huge. First car I ever bought was in Dubai. And in Dubai, you pay by checks. Okay.
All right. Yeah.
And you pay, like, so if you're paying off a car, they keep checks. So if your check bounces, you go to jail. And that was big for me. That was huge. But I did it because it was just something that I had in my head I was going to do. And I put enough thinking into it, and it was extremely pleasurable to be able to drive that Alfa Romeo, having known what I had to do to get it. So same like your Audi TT.
So we did miss one out, and we've been going 57 minutes. So I'm just going to cover this just a little bit. Okay, it's a balanced life. Now you'll never get a balanced life. It's virtually impossible, because most people we're talking about, they think 50-50 and things like that. Well, no, it doesn't work like that. So it could be 75% work and 25% home. So we don't know. But what I would say, it's a myth. Yeah, I mean, it's never going to happen. So the way round it is just think, I'm going to do the best I can within certain areas. We'll only pick two. Let's say career and family. Okay, so your career is important, but when you're there, be there. Right?
Be
When you're
present.
with your family, be there. And I know I haven't done that. I've put my hands up and said I haven't done that in the past. Very well years ago. And I think it's important that we spoke about grey areas, and that's when you're at the restaurant with your significant other or family, and you're thinking about work. And then when you're at work, you're thinking about going out at the weekend, and these things cross over. And there's this big grey area, and it can really affect things. So when you're away for the weekend with your family, or whether you're away for the weekend with your family, it's nothing to do with business. It's nothing to do with work, and vice versa.
No, you're right. I look at a balanced life as, do I feel emotionally balanced?
Yeah.
Wherever I am in my life, if I can feel emotionally balanced, then I'm living a balanced life, because that's what's important to me. Is, do I feel good? Do I
So
feel
it's
emotionally
like
balanced?
a flow.
Yeah, it's like a
I mean,
flow.
you
Yeah.
can, they can. No, I'm not saying they can't mold in, because they can.
Of
Some
course.
people naturally have this molding thing where it doesn't. It's not a problem. But other people, maybe the more obsessive type, maybe, I don't know, where they're more obsessed on one thing than something else, and they need to really think about it.
Yeah, I mean, and for example, an alpha or a red character is not necessarily looking for a balanced life.
No.
Not particularly, no. But if there's anybody that's watching this and you want to figure out for yourself how you can feel good and have a balanced feeling life, then let's talk.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have something to talk about.
So let's cut off before we've hit 60 minutes, because this is the longest one
We
ever.
got 20 seconds to go.
20 seconds left. So
We can do it.
have a fantastic week, everyone. If you've got any questions, please let us know. And success. Success to
To you.
See you
Best of
later.
your success, everyone. Bye-bye now.
Cheers.
Cheers,
Bye.
Paul.